Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:30. Any adjustments to the agenda this evening?
There are none.
Seeing none and hearing none, motion to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? 3.1, I'm going to read this in the form of a motion. I want to remind everybody that executive session, there is no note-taking. The board will go into executive session, come out. By the looks of the agenda, we'll then re-enter executive session with another motion, and then action to follow those executive sessions. The first executive session is for the purpose of legal right and duties of a school unit pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056E. That is in the form of a motion. I'd like a second.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? We've ended the executive session at still 6:30. All right, the board has come out of executive session at 6:46. I will now read another motion. 3.2, executive session for the purpose of labor contract negotiations pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056D. That was in the form of a motion. If I could get a second.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? We are now back in executive session at 6:47. All those parties involved will meet in the library. The board is now out of executive session at 7:26.
I move to deny the grievance and direct the superintendent to provide written notice to the association as provided in Article 2E3 of the collective bargaining contract between the RSU 20 Board of Directors and the Penobscot Bay Education Association.
Any recognitions this evening, Mr. Downing?
There is not, excuse me.
Consideration of minutes, regular board meeting, August 23rd, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
Any corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor? Consent agenda, which requires no action, Building and Grounds Transportation, August 16th, Policy Committee meeting minutes, August 22nd, and Finance Committee meetings, August 23rd. Moving on to presentations, administrators and directors, opening of 22-23 school year.
Questions about the enrollment numbers, so you can see those right there. In general, things are off to a great start at the middle high school. Current enrollments stand at 141 for Searsport District High School and 109 at Searsport District Middle School. You'll see in that breakdown by grade, we have grade 5 as part of a smaller program inside of our life skills program at the middle school. Those numbers are really reflected in the elementary enrollment, but I just figure for completeness, understanding what we've got inside of the building. High school numbers are up, middle school numbers are relatively flat if you're kind of looking for a general trend. Reporting out, August 31st, we had a half a day where we brought our 6th graders and 9th graders in for a half a day. The feedback from the students was they really appreciated that day to acclimate, learn where their lockers were, where their teachers were, how to go through the lunch line for the 6th graders. Even the freshmen were appreciative, and you could tell they needed a reminder where their classes were. So all in all, I think that's something that I would continue to advocate for in future calendar builds, because it's just a necessary thing, and kids really appreciate it. Teachers too, to get to know the kids. The next day we had our full student body in. We hit the ground running. We didn't really look at amending the schedule very much. We wanted to build in where this was looking to be more of a normal year. Hit the ground running with classes. Waldo County Tech Center started right up. Classes were as normal. So we ran classes from that Thursday all the way through the following week. We waited, a big change we've had this year, typically we had our second full day of school we have dedicated to our Viking Rally Day. A lot of the feedback from teachers and students was it's a little intense to jump right in to the beginning of the year with a half a day with our 6th and 9th graders, a day back in the building to get acclimated, and then jump right into this very chaotic, fun day. So we moved that to a week later, and really I think it paid a lot of dividends. The kids were more settled. We had time to really build up to that, so kids were looking forward to it, and it was a great success. And for those who don't know, Viking Rally Day in the high school is just a time where we break down our advisories. We do a lot of activities across grade levels, across advisories, cooperative games, and it's run completely by our student council and planned by our student council. So it's really a student-led day, and the teachers are really just along to support. It brings out a lot of student leadership. So, moving forward, academically, starting in the middle school this past Monday, we have students all engaged in taking their iReady Curriculum Associates diagnostics. So that'll be the baseline data for all of our interventions moving forward throughout the year. They should be finished by the end of this week. Athletics are underway. We're already 2 weeks into the season. Middle school teams and high school teams are well in the beginning of their schedules. A lot of young teams. For those who don't, you do know because you voted on it. Our 8th grade girls are playing up on the high school varsity soccer team, and they're growing and getting better every day. And then finally, the next big thing that's happening for us, tomorrow we pack up 28 of our 8th graders and send them off to Kiev, and they are super excited. So all in all, it's a great start to the year. For our next presentation, I'll likely be asking some of those 8th graders to come and talk to you about their experience and share some of the things they learned. So thank you.
Any questions for Josh?
Not a question, but I do hope we get to hear from those 8th graders who are going to Kiev. That would be nice.
Yeah, that's the plan for the October meeting, is to have them come and do a presentation.
Hi. May I approach the bench? I've got some materials here for you. So on the cover of our Searsport Elementary School enrollment packet, we've got a photograph of the greatest staff ever, our SES staff of committed educators. And Josh is so eloquent with his speaking. I just figured that I would bring you photographs of kids and the staff. And I am so lucky to be working in our building. And as you can see, we've got some wonderful little characters to spend our days with every single day. Even as I put this packet together for you last night, even at 5 o'clock at night, I had parents knocking on the door to register their child. And so I included that number in my packet, but then today we had 2 more students register. So that has been the theme so far this year. It's been wonderful. We have had every single day more and more students registering. So if you flip to the back page, I have totals of this year on the right-hand column compared to last year in the middle column. And our right-hand column totals do not include the five 5th graders that are being housed at the middle school. So really, all told, we've got 216 students, and they keep coming every single day, which is exciting. And I've had the opportunity to speak with those folks who have superintendent's agreements and who are bringing their students to Searsport Elementary School. And one family is even putting their house on the market in a different town to make sure that their child can stay here at our school. They said, there is no other school that I would want my child at. I so appreciate everything you're doing. And really, we appreciate our students and being able to spend time with them and connecting with their families. So really, that has been, we've taken our 3 goals of safety, student engagement, and community relations very seriously. We're using that as our lens, that we do everything. And really, we appreciate them. Any questions? Yes.
Sorry, Ms. Blanchard. Originally said 211, but it's now 216, and you said there was 5 additional. Are those coming from other districts?
No, those are the 5 5th graders who are housed at our
Okay.
middle school, right
Okay.
down here. So because we're bursting at the seams at the elementary school, and for some of our programming, there's extra
Space.
extra
Okay.
space down at the middle school. So that's the nature
Just
of
out of
what we had to do.
curiosity, because I can hear Denise's question. How many students do we have in SES that are from other districts that are coming here with
That's a good
agreements to come
question.
here?
That's a good question. Mr. Downing has that, I think.
Total, not breaking it down by building, we have a total of 20 superintendent agreement students coming to our district this year.
So that's K through 12.
Yes.
And you know the question I'm going to ask. How many going in the opposite direction?
Not as many.
We have 14. And I would just like to add a caveat to that, and that is that both the 20 coming here and the 14 that are going to other districts, there are reasons that I cannot get into because it's identifiable. But, I mean, there are things that happen, but we have people coming here that want to be here. Of that 14, 4 of them are seniors this year, which by law, they can go to another school based upon residency and some other things. So it's really 10 if you took the seniors out.
Anyone else? Thank you, folks.
Thank you so much.
Anybody left from the public would like to address the board? Report from the superintendent.
I just have a couple of points. First of all, I want to thank the administrators for presenting their reports, but also both the administrators, the staff, the students, the community. This has been a really nice opening, and it was so nice to get back to what a lot of people would say is normalized. I believe it's excelled the way we're doing things. I would like you all on the board, if you could look at 4 October or October 4th, depending which way you state it, at 6:30 at central office. Mr. Bradford is ready to do the training for your laptops. So we're extending 4 October at 6:30. It's a Tuesday. We were going to do Monday, but Monday is a policy committee meeting. It's the first Monday. I see thumbs up.
Does that replace the board meeting, or is that in addition to our normal board meetings for October?
The 4th is not a board meeting night. It's in addition.
Okay.
Everybody good with that?
Works for me.
Thank you.
And that is my report. It's a short one because we've spent other items from the principals, and I'll answer any questions if there are any.
Seeing none, moving on to committee reports, policy committee meeting.
Night, and we did postpone our first agenda item, which was to have a discussion on the dangerous behavior prevention and intervention piece, and how that fits into JK and JKL. So we'll be discussing that at our next policy meeting, which I believe is on the 26th, if I'm not mistaken. We also reviewed the various drafts of the policy GBEEA, which is the staff social media use policy, and compared them to Drummond and Woodsum sample that Mr. Downing brought us. And I'm pleased to report that we have a policy to bring before the board for first reading coming up soon. On the 27th, thank you. And we did table a couple of discussions that were on our agenda for next time, and those were continuing to look at the remaining policies in C, which there are few, and a discussion on potential dress code policy. And those will be moved to our next meeting on the 26th. Did I leave anything out, Ruth? Mr. Downing? Oh, yes, we did agree to continue to meet beginning at 6 PM, but ending at 7:15 on the button.
Anyone else? Thank you. Finance Committee met this evening, all of about 3 minutes again. It's the beginning of a new budget year, so there's really not much to go over. Moving on to old business, board delegate nominations for MSMA, delegate meeting and resolutions.
That is the online meeting on Saturday, October 22nd at 9:30, and you should have received an email from me after the last board meeting that it would be approximately an hour. The reason it's on there under old business is just if we're going to have anybody representing RSU 20 from our board, I need to submit that name to Maine School Board Association.
I would say you're not submitting anything, Mr. Downing.
That's fine. Thank you.
Moving on to new business, vote to authorize amendments to MSMA Workers' Compensation Insurance Declaration of Trust and Indemnity Agreement. I read that in form of a motion. If we get a second, so we could have discussion.
Second.
Thank you.
Second, Tony, I got the motion for you.
Oh, there's a separate motion?
Yes. Deanna has it.
So I will explain to the board that this MSMA has asked the board to sign, approve, or pass this motion. It's a couple of edits to their trust agreement or their trust document. These are already in place. They were already approved by the majority of the MSMA members back in 1990. Apparently, there's something in the statute or in their bylaws that says 70% of their membership has to have informed their boards and approved it. They just get sort of dinged on their audit every year because of that, and so MSMA would like to remove that from that little gray speck from their audit, and so they've asked the few districts that haven't had this signed off on to do so, at least so they can get to the 70%. It has no monetary or otherwise impact on us.
So I'll read the motion. I move that the vote entitled Vote to Authorize Amendments to MSMA Workers' Compensation Insurance Declaration, Trust, and Indemnity Agreement be adopted in the present form of this meeting, and that the copy of the said vote be filed with the minutes of this meeting. Be it hereby voted as follows. The Regional School Unit 20, the district, as a participant in the Maine School Management Associated Workers' Compensation Trust Fund, hereby consents to certain amendments to the fund and declaration described in the attachments entitled Amendments of Declaration of Trust for Maine School Management Association Workers Compensation Insurance Trust Fund. Resolve, the district as a participant in the fund and a party to the Workers Compensation Trust Indemnity Agreement dated July 1st, 1990, hereby consent to certain proposed amendments to the indemnity agreement described in the attachment document entitled Amendment of Indemnity Agreement of Maine School Management Association Compensation Trust Fund. That the district be and is hereby is authorized to execute and deliver the declaration of trust and indemnity agreement amendments and any and all other documents and instruments as may be required from time to time to consummate the transaction contemplated by the declaration of trust, amendments and/or indemnity agreement amendments, and that the execution, acknowledgement, and delivery of such trust documents in name of and on behalf of the district is hereby approved in all aspects, and that Michael Wright be and hereby is authorized to execute and deliver the trust documentation such as other documents, certificates, agreements, instruments may be reasonably required to perform such further additional actions as may be necessary or convenient in order to effectuate for the foregoing resolutions. 1990, are you kidding me? Lawyers need something better to do. That was in the form of a motion.
Second.
Would anybody like Mr. Downing to repeat the motion? If it weren't so late, maybe. All those in favor? Lord.
Thank you.
We probably paid somebody a lot of money to write that. All right, moving on to new business B, consideration of approval of new support staff hires. Michael Doucette, is it Doucette or is it Duquette? Doucette. Custodian SES, and Amanda Doucette, custodian Central Office District. I read that in the form of a motion. If I get a second.
Second?
As always, there's no discussion with personnel. All those in favor? Thank you. Consideration of approval of the following position, Nick Nacy's, ELCO, Experimental Learning and Community Outreach Coordinator. I read that in the form of a motion.
Second?
All those in favor? Thank you. Next board meeting, I think we've said it a couple times, September 27th. Right here at 6:30, finance at 6 o'clock. Oh, that's right, second of the month. Here at 6:30. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor? Thank you.